So today I've got really just two goals. One, I gotta change out the bedding in the chicken coop for my big chickens. And two is actually a bit of an update on that automatic chicken door that I installed a couple months ago. So it's kind of an update on that door. I've had it for, I guess, 2 or 3 months now, and it stopped working a couple weeks ago, and I just hadn't really bothered with it. It's been a fine door, but the one of the things that has kind of frustrated me with it is my headlamp that I use when I come out here and put the chickens up in the evening would set the sensor off. And so it's supposed to, I think it's got a photo sensor in it, and it's supposed to open, I think, 30 minutes after sunrise and close 30 minutes after sunset, which it has absolutely done. But where I've had frustration is it's supposed to be resistant to artificial light, and my headlamp kept setting it off and on, so I'm constantly opening and closing it. However, the last time that I came out, I opened it up, got all the chickens rounded up, because they, you know, some of them still don't always want to go to bed when they're supposed to. So put them all up, and when I went to close it, it started to close and then just stopped, and it hasn't worked since. And so in the meantime, I've just been manually opening and closing it, just because I just hadn't really wanted to take the time to take it off or mess with it. And I bought it on Amazon. I actually got a little pop-up from Amazon. I was like, hey, rate your provide a review on the product. And I thought, well, it was a good product until it stopped, and I'm sure it's just some kind of quirky issue, because it's been good otherwise. So I did. Well, to the credit of the sellers, they actually reached out to me and asked, hey, can we try to help fix it? What's the issue? Can we get some pictures and stuff? And so I'm actually gonna take some time and take it apart again and see what's going on. I haven't really messed with it much. I tried to change the batteries real quick. That didn't change anything, and I thought, well, it's just not worth the time. And since it was kind of annoying with the whole light up and down thing, I thought, well, I'm probably just going to put a regular door on it and be done. And it might not be that big of a deal if they put themselves up like they're supposed to every night. The first thing I'm going to actually do is, take these 4 screws out and just see how the insides are looking. I'll probably try another battery again, just to make sure. But see, it just kind of stopped, and you can still kind of manually raise and lower it, which I've been doing for probably 2 weeks now. So I'm gonna open it up, get some pictures, see if I see anything wrong with it, and then I'm gonna send those off to support and kind of let them handle it. After I change the batteries again, which I swear I've done once already, it beeped a couple times, and now it's working again like it was before. So I don't really know what to say. I'm gonna respond back to the support and kind of let them know, but yeah, it just started working. So woo technology. It cracks me up, because as cliche as it always is, we always tell people, like, if you tried to restart it, if you tried to turn it off and back on again, is it plugged in? Have you tried changing the batteries? And in this case, even though I've changed the batteries once, it started working. So I doubt it's permanently fixed, but at least it's working. So I'm gonna let support know and see what they say. And I'll even probably go in and update my review, just because I want to be as honest as I can. And again, support was extremely responsive and helpful, so I can't fault them. They've been pretty great. So this is, again, probably just an anomaly, not a big ordeal, but here it is. So there you are, and there you have it. Twinkle's having a little fun. Ain't that right, Twinkle? Alright, so something exciting that isn't probably exciting for most people, but it's exciting for me because it means progress, and that is managed to get just a regular heat treated pallet to put all my straw and stuff on, which is fantastic. So it keeps it up off the ground. It'll give me a chance to kind of get in here and clean this out. I believe that a lot of this is old compost, and it's not really hydrated real well because it's in the cover. But if you look, it's definitely manure and stuff, and straw and hay and stuff that's broken down. So at some point I'm gonna get in here and start shoveling some of this out, and I'm gonna try to see if there's any good compost underneath. And even if it's just manure, I'm gonna shovel this into where the garden's gonna be at some point and let that rest over the winter. Hopefully I'll get to that soon. But yeah, I'll have plenty of room to stack this stuff, keep it up off the ground, which was the goal. And a lot better than it sitting on the ground, because it does get moist in here sometimes during heavy rains. There's water that gets up underneath the building a little bit, and the roof leaks just a hair in a few spots. So I got to get up there at some point and see where it's leaking at and fix that. But no big deal. This is actually what I came for, so we can get that cleaned out. Excuse me, ladies. Oh, being hunted by Twinkle here. So just something to note for anybody that is kind of curious. The chickens rarely actually ever get up here on the roof and roost. They've got room, but they rarely ever actually get up in here and actually use them. And so a lot of times they're bedding down in here. Yes, I'm talking about you. And so with 4 chickens, I'm actually getting quite a bit more manure. And it's not excessive, it's not stinking or anything. And I would definitely say if it gets to a point where it stinks, like, you gotta address that. They're curious because I'm not usually, I don't usually have the door open like this. But anyways, these guys are definitely putting in a lot more manure than before. So we're gonna get it all cleaned up in here. And just for reference, with the 4 of them, this is probably about, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks. So it's not bad. If you had quite a few more chickens in here, it would be quite a bit more. And when I get the rest of mine down here, there will be roughly 8 or 9 per coop, which is fine at night, but they can't stay in that all day, and this will probably have to be cleaned out about every week, every other week throughout the winter while they're staying up a lot more, and with it being a lot more chickens in one place. Something else I wanted to quickly make note on is I actually use a combination of wood chips and pine, or I'm sorry, I actually use a combination of wood chips and straw for the bedding inside of my coop. And part of the reason for that is I think the straw makes a better bedding for their nest boxes, and they like to kind of use that like they would any other sort of greenery, if they were out naturally anywhere. And then second, I'll put the wood chips underneath because the wood chips are way more absorbent in my experience than the straw. And so a lot of times in my areas, and I did this a little bit with the baby chicks, but it's something I kind of more started doing with these girls. I'll put the wood chips on the bottom and I'll throw some straw in on top of it. And of course the wood chips kind of naturally work their way to the bottom anyways when the chickens are in there scratching and stuff. And I really think that that's what's helped keep it from stinking. These girls are very inquisitive. They just, they just stuck the metal here and they're just walking in, and then there was like 4 of them. All 4 of them were in here. Look at them. They immediately start scratching and spreading all this stuff. They like to dig. But anyway, I've got to go get their bedding. So I'm gonna come over here and start with these wood chips, I think. Start with the wood chips, and it looks like I don't have much straw left that's already open, so maybe popping open another bale today. Twinkle, are you supervising? Can you say hello? No, you won't even look at me? Fair enough. Alright, I managed to scrounge together enough straw, put in there on top of the wood chips, so they're all good to go now for a couple more weeks. And here for too long, I'll start working on this one. I gotta say, I'm very pleased with everything out here right now. You girls ready for some company soon? I think one Friday evening, I'll bring the little ones out here and start introducing them little at a time. So back to this door. One thing I've been kind of debating for a little bit is what I was going to do with that chicken coop, because for the time being I've just kind of used this to discourage the chickens from using this coop for now. But I'm gonna have to do something before too awful long once I bring the little ones down here. And so I've been debating on what I wanted to do with this door and whether or not I wanted to buy a second automatic coop door or not. So I'm still on the fence. As much as I can't necessarily like complain about this one, I don't know that in my circumstances it's worth it. Not to say that it would not be worth it for somebody, just because I'm having to come out here every evening and every morning anyways. I just don't know that it's worth the money to do it. But to be honest, I think some of that's just due to the circumstances with where I'm at, with me having quite a sizable run here and other areas. They've got other places that they can get up and perch, such as that building, which is kind of aggravating. And then if you've watched any of my videos for any length of time, I put this 2x4 in here sometime back for them to perch on, and they do. Every night I find pretty much all 4 of them roosting up on this. So most likely I think I'm going to take that down to discourage them from doing it. But before they were on that, they kept wanting to try to rest up on this roof here, or rest on the top of the coops. And so for the 2 I've already had for a while, I've clipped their wings, and they're no longer really doing that. But all 4 of them can still get up here. So I'm a little torn on that piece. But I think if I had just a static run, a smaller run, and the only place they had to roost was in the coop, they would most likely go in the coop. And with the days already getting shorter and the egg production dropping, I don't want to go through the trouble right now of locking them in their coop for a day or two to keep them occupied, basically to keep them in. Plus these coops are I don't know, I mean they would work, but I just don't really want to lock them in there for an extended period of time unless I absolutely had to. So, and that would, if you did lock them in, that should encourage them to understand that that's home. But again, kind of pick your battles, and that's not a battle I really want to fight right now. So again, just kind of thoughts on the whole topic. Twinkle, are you about ready to wrap it up for the day? Today's supposed to be a rest day. I just didn't get done yesterday with everything I needed. You ready to go rest, buddy? Nope. He's just enjoying the weather. All right, well, thanks for joining, and have a good rest of your day.